All right, I think we're live on YouTube, which means we're live on Twitter. And where's the Rockfin button up here? Let me get that going. Should be live on Rockfin sometime soon. You know, I'm kind of in a bad mood, I'm going to be honest, because I just watched the Braves, and they got blown out in Philadelphia. And it's just painful to watch. I wish I could just turn that piece of my brain where I care off. But
Are the Phillies like a big rivalry of the
well,
Braves?
the Braves are the number one seed. The Braves were the number one seed last year, and they have this new playoff format where the number one seed gets like 6 days off, and everybody was like, they're going to be rusty. And last year, the number one seeds all lost. The Braves lost to the Phillies last year in 4 games, and this year, the Braves, if they lose tomorrow, will again lose to the Phillies in 4 games, and they just got blown out today to the Phillies. And it's just, like I said, wish I could turn that piece of my brain off. But we are now live on Rockfin as well, so we'll save the baseball talk for a time when we can bring our friend Ridgway on to talk a little baseball, and we'll dive in to the news today. Hillary Clinton says empowering people is the problem. El Chapo's sons are doing what? And Israel, Palestine. We're not going to talk, a ton, or maybe we will. I don't know about Israel and Palestine. I did record kind of my thoughts on it longer that I'm going to post as well. There might be some overlap here, but I'll say this: in the midst of all of the horrific news going on over there, the Pentagon today did announce another weapons package for Ukraine. So at least we were able to get that in for Ukraine. This one is just a measly little $200 million weapons package for Ukraine, which has to be pretty insulting for Zelensky.
It's like a Jeep and a gun.
That's nothing, It's like nothing at all. I mean, that's not enough cocaine to last him through half a day.
Yeah.
He's got Israel to compete
The babies need the cocaine.
Yeah. And you can expect very soon. Maybe already this has happened. I don't know. There's going to be legislation presented that includes both Ukraine aid and aid to Israel in the same bill that makes it impossible to say yes to one and no to the other. We're already seeing stuff like this all over Twitter. You can't support Ukraine and Israel. You have to just do them both. They want to tie those together. We did have Republican Representative Thomas Massey. He said that he's a libertarian-leaning Republican. He said that he opposes sending aid to Israel and that he opposes sending all foreign aid. And he says some people say that his position of opposing all foreign aid is radical. He thinks what's radical is sending money to other countries when we're going bankrupt here at home. And when asked about what role the U.S. should play in Israel in response when it comes to aid to the attack, he said that more scrutiny needs to be done on the existing foreign aid because Israel, they've been a top recipient of our foreign aid. They got $158 billion to date this year, and they have been getting $3.8 billion annually since 2019, which he signed off on, which was part of a bigger package. And I tend to agree that there should be more scrutiny to that, and we shouldn't continue to shell out money. That's my personal opinion. I am anti-foreign wars, and I think this keeps the whole war machine churning while everything that happened over there was horrific and awful. I'm not going to go into my deep thoughts on that. I did that on the show that I'm going to post either tonight or tomorrow. Ian?
Well, no, what I was going to say about that, the guys who are trying to marry the two issues together, what they need to do is think about already famous married or famous couples that we had and what they did. Bennifer, Brangelina, right? So you just have to mix it together. Like we're going to call it Iscrane or...
Right. What do we call the weapons packages?
Yeah, the Iscrane or something.
Yeah.
You're going to marry the two together, right?
Right,
You know what I'm saying?
Usereal. I don't know. I like Iscrane better, though. It's a much better name.
Yeah. So with this whole thing, honestly, what I've been focused in on like a laser beam more than anything else right now is how the response has been from BLM, from Antifa, from these activist organizations here in the United States to Hamas, to their Hamas support.
All well informed, I'm sure.
Well, no, it's just interesting because what it's doing is they're pushing a boundary, right? And a lot of people are starting to react to the boundary. But this is what the radical left always does. The radical left will, at this intersection right? Using their words, this intersection of Hamas and BLM is fascinating. Okay, I never saw this coming in a million years. I never saw in a million years the White House actually, speaking out against AOC and condemning what they said. That, but that's what the left wants. The reaction is exactly like they got the reaction they wanted. Okay, and this is what my point is that they they do these outlandish things. They push a boundary, and your reaction is exactly what they were. That's all they were trying to provoke was a reaction.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Saul Alinsky talked about that a lot in Rules for Radicals.
Exactly. But one of the ultimate things that they do is they put you in this thing called a decision dilemma, right? Like a damned if you do, damned if you don't. This is how they will take on a stronger opponent than themselves, right?
The decision dilemma. It's like that's what I have whenever I'm trying to decide what I'm going to have for lunch.
Dude, Pop-Tarts. Just looking at the Pop-Tart aisle at the grocery store, decision dilemma, right?
Right.
Damned if you do, damned if you don't. I can't eat all these Pop-Tarts. Just take a bite from each one.
Yeah.
But so what they do is they do things like what BLM did during the Summer of Love in 2020 when they're burning down, a dozen American cities. What was it? It was enough. So they're burning down all these American cities, and what they're pushing Donald Trump into is this decision dilemma. Because the minute he brought up National Guard, they were like, "Oh, you're a tyrant. You're a tyrant. You can't use the National Guard. That's an overreaction. That's the wrong reaction, right?" So then, if he doesn't do anything, he looks weak, ineffective, and unpopular. So he's in a decision dilemma. Whatever reaction he has to this situation is going to be a terrible reaction. And
right.
So looking at
so it's like a win-win situation for them. Is that what you're saying?
Right. And so that's the only thing I'm going to talk about is Hamas and this last weekend. That's it. Nothing else in the bigger scope of things. Just the action. They took
not conflating it with all the people who.
Not conflating with all the people. Yeah. Nothing like that. Not talking about the history of the conflict. Nothing like that. I'm talking about the specific instance, the action. Okay? Because how this ties. Now remember, I'm talking about how this ties in with activism.
Right.
Okay. That's how I'm talking about this. The activism of the oppressed.
Oh yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about. So, this act of terrorism was this violent activism of the oppressed. So they created this. What I'm getting at is they created a decision dilemma for Israel, and everyone's taking advantage of this decision dilemma.
Oh yeah.
There's so many people taking advantage.
The war hawks are horny off of this.
And I'm with you, and that's what I'm most afraid of. Is I don't know how we're going to get out of getting sucked into a war.
It's tough just to see how we can after this.
I don't. If you're, it's like, it's very difficult. I'm like, I know it's a touchy subject.
It's a tough subject to talk about. Look, it's
but I'm really trying to talk about how it relates to the activists we're facing here.
Right.
That's how I'm trying. Like there is a connection.
It's about like the comparison they're making.
Yes, there is a connection. I'm telling you.
Yeah, so like if they see themselves, if Black Lives Matter sees themselves like Hamas.
That's right. They do.
Yeah, and that's if they're going to start behaving that way, or Hamas is how I say it. If they're going to start behaving that way, then
Hezbollah.
That is that's a problem. I was having
that is a problem.
That's a real problem. I was having some wild dreams, vivid dreams. I don't often have vivid dreams, but I think it's because of the news cycle constantly, and I do talk about this in what I'm going to post earlier, so there's going to be overlap, and I apologize. But the news cycle has just been pumping our heads full of this. They just forgot about all of the other news. It's like nothing else happened. And I personally fell asleep to this on a couple of times. I think that contributed to it, but I had these vivid dreams about stuff popping off over here. And I know there was a warning put out in New York City about the possibility of this, because when people see something happen, then they might get an inkling to do something themselves. This is the real deal stuff when it comes to world war, potentially. I said that the Ukraine war was the first great war first big war of the Great Reset, and I think this is the second one, the second big war of the Great Reset. I know there's skirmishes around the world that are smaller, but I think these two are going to be tied together. They're going to blame Iran, even though initial findings say Iran didn't know, but we already see people saying, "Oh, that's BS. They did know," and this could be what the history books say. The Franz Ferdinand moment is what's going on over there. It is just the war hawks are so horny right now on all sides. This is a tough one, and I hope that the people who are kidnapped, I hope that they're able to rescue them, and I hope I was talking earlier that when it comes to choosing a side, which is what they want people to do, they want to tear people apart and make them choose sides. Are you Israel? Put on your Israel hat. Put on your Palestine hat. My position is that I am with the innocent civilians in Israel and the innocent civilians in the Palestinian civilians in Gaza. I don't know enough about the territory, I'm going to be honest with you.
Well, I'll tell you, the only place that the people in Gaza can escape to is Israel or Egypt. And frankly, not putting enough pressure on Egypt to open up their borders and take in these refugees.
Absolutely. And it's just like they use people as pawns, the people in power.
That's exactly right. They want this. Some sick adrenochrome fucks want this to happen. They got their cloaks on, and they're sitting around a big pool of adrenochrome and big,
they have
candles
one of those beer cups of adrenochrome
behind them.
People watch, and they're just sucking it.
And they're just all planning this.
There was a woman who was apparently in the military in Israel for a long time, and I listened to this interview with her. I don't have it here. I played it earlier, but I don't have it with me right now. But she said that she doesn't understand how they didn't know, right? And people are getting mad at people who just say, well, how they have this sophisticated surveillance system over there from Israel. They actually use facial recognition technology. They've been testing it out on the Palestinian people, and they she doesn't know how they didn't know. And she said that they released a video, Hamas did, 3 days before, laying out how they were going to do it that was apparently public. People wanted to know how 9/11 happened. It's not a conspiratorial or a bad question to want to know how that happened, and that doesn't absolve anybody who committed the acts of any blame whatsoever. But don't you want to know if somebody on the inside had a clue that something might have been occurring? I do.
Well, when Netanyahu said this is Israel's 9/11,
at least it wasn't January 6th.
Realize it wasn't January 6th because
right,
that's the worst.
Could have been worse.
No, but when he says it was 9/11, what's one thing that people like you and I sort of believe about 9/11, that there's partially it's an inside job, right?
Right. Yep.
Okay. So when he said this is Israel's 9/11.
And I think that he's saying it's an inside job.
I think that he's saying
he's making a clear admission.
I think he's making it pretty clear.
It's a tough subject, man, and just
it is.
I think that the best way to talk to people about it, from my opinion, is from a place of humanity.
Yes,
I see people on social media. Everybody thinks they have to have an immediate take. Everybody thinks they have to know the answer right away.
Oh my gosh! I love that celebrities are confused.
They're totally confused. I mean, it's a confusing subject, and I think it's good to be confused about a subject, because then you can go seek out more information and learn instead of waiting to be told by the propaganda screens what you're supposed to believe. And I don't think we should condemn people for not knowing their answer right away, and
exactly.
I don't think we should yell at people if they question a certain aspect of it, because that's not an opportunity to just put somebody in their place. That's an opportunity to give somebody information that can bring them closer to the truth. So there are people who have been over there, who have visited both of this land. I don't say both of these lands. It's the same land that they're sharing and they're fighting over, that know far more about it, that can help people learn, that can answer these questions. So how about instead of yelling at people and getting mad if you don't take a side or whatever, which is what I'm seeing all over social media, and it pisses me off, man, because people who genuinely want to know and who have a good heart and are like authentically in earnest seeking answers are afraid to ask questions because they're afraid of just being ragged all over on social media. It's embarrassing, honestly.
It's one of the reasons why I stay off social media, because social media, for the most part, it's filled with everyone is just vying. It's king of the hill. That's all it is. It's king of the hill. Everyone is just vying
That's how you get
to
clicks
be.
and absolutely.
Yeah. They're just vying to be the smartest person in the room, and I don't have time for that.
Yeah, and people want to. They want to show. That's what Twitter is anyway. I'm not on Facebook anymore.
You're right. I think I generalize when I say social media. I was thinking of Zitter.
There's never been a social media platform that's been described as it's a really great place to have a well thought out debate. That's never been.
I know, and all the ones that advertise like we're going to be the positive social media. I'm like, nobody is going to make any money at this.
Absolutely. So we have a comment. Dave says it sure took everything else off the front pages. Absolutely. And it is impossible to take things at face value. Look, I completely agree. Yeah. Dave, it's impossible to take things at face value. There's the fog of war, and we know that information that comes out right after stuff like this, there's going to be truthful things, and there's going to be things that simply aren't true. And to react off of every single thing, because so Ben Shapiro, right? Ben Shapiro says things that I agree with quite often, but I always point out whenever I bring him up that he is a war hawk, and when it comes to war hawking, I almost always disagree with him, and he is shameless about pushing propaganda when it comes to that. And that dude was everywhere, just spreading absolutely everything. You could make up the craziest stuff, and dude would be spreading it. Right, and I know I'm not even going to talk about the baby thing. I know that Biden came out and said that he saw the pictures of that. Even though we have the journalist who made the claim about the babies having their heads removed, it's just an awful thing to even say. The journalist who initially reported it made a statement kind of clarifying, no, that's not what I meant. We actually never saw any photos of that. Somebody just said that happened. It wasn't 40 babies that this happened to. We don't know for sure. And then Biden says he saw the images. I'm sorry if I don't believe that. It's just a mess, and I hate it. I really do. I hate war, and I hate this stuff. I've been dreading talking about it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I know. I've been dreading talking about it too. But to be quite frank, it's hard to underestimate, or I guess it's hard to overestimate how important this is. I mean, I really think, when Netanyahu says, I'm going to change the face of the Middle East, I think people should be taking this
crazy
seriously.
You can't exterminate an entire people, and some people are advocating for that. You just can't do that.
I know.
Yeah,
I get it, but, I get how polarizing this is right now, though. I mean, people, I think, need to. One of the things you're talking about, this humanity thing, one of the things about humanity, look, this is an empathy crisis is what it is. People can look at this situation and you're having these empathy crisis because you're feeling empathy for two sides and it's pulling you, and you can see it, this issue and that, and you there's civilians that you're torn between these two groups of civilians.
And you're punished if you express that.
And you're punished
on
if
social
you
media.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so that made me think the whole idea on social media about jumping on people if they don't immediately know or have what you think might be the correct opinion is we shouldn't see this as an opportunity to get people, because that is what these people who are moving the pieces around the chessboard want us to do. It's a divide and rule thing. We should see that as an opportunity to inform people to our position and maybe better inform ourselves on certain positions as well, because that is what they don't want us to do. They don't want people asking questions. They don't want people coming together. You know what would be the biggest nightmare ever for these people who want to dominate the world and pull us into World War III is if somehow, and I know this is idealistic and not going to happen, but if the citizens, the innocent civilians who survived in Israel, and innocent civilians who survive what's going on right now in Palestine, if they somehow got a secret messages together and they came together and realized that, hey, both these people who are ruling over us are full of it, and they're using us as pawns to get what they want, and they came together and they all turned against these ruling class. That is what they fear the most.
So that going back to that reaction, is the goal. So what happens is you take like a parent who you get this activist librarian. They put a picture, they put a book in the library that's got illustration of two little boys having oral sex, right? Angry parent shows up at a school board meeting, waving the book around, screams, loses his shit, gets arrested. So what now has happened is everyone is just focused on the reaction to this thing. They're no longer thinking about what caused it. We've moved past that. It's this big distraction that happens, right? And that's what I think. Unfortunately, while the internet provides the ability for us to do a fun show like this, it also just overloads us with information. I mean, you remember before the internet, in the early '90s, or whatever, the late '80s, early '90s.
It's crazy, man.
There's more space between moments, man.
Absolutely, you had time to reflect. Reflection is the enemy of the propaganda machine. It's and we stay connected. We actually go to the propaganda machine when we don't want to reflect on our own decisions and on information and stuff. It's just we get so tribal and emotional. We're ready to react. And the thought of reflection is just silence, And if you sat in silence a lot lately, not too many people have. Just sat quietly and thought, because it's so easy not to. And that's when your brain grows, and when we are enlightened. That is when we see the light that leads us out of Plato's cave and away from the shadows on the wall.
Yeah, for sure.
I tell you what, man, nothing expanded my mind more than when I read Plato. I started reading Plato and other philosophers. I didn't do it until I was in my late 20s or early 30s, but it just like I could feel my brain being rewired, because I just like these explosions of holy cow, I've never thought about anything that way.
Right.
Which is great. And then you turn to a page where it's like, and so saw the 12-year-old boy, and I was like, oh my God. Why did that have to be thrown in there? Okay, so Hillary Clinton, get a few comments here. If you have a good memory, Denver Attaway says, the government hates you. You're right. They like flush our memories with all of this stuff. Any word, I don't know how to pronounce that word. Kazara is, if people in the planned Kazara don't leave, they will get exterminated. And I'm not sure, I still don't understand what that means exactly. I need to look that up. David says, one of my concerns is that there could be some high-level strategy, wondering if Americans aren't in favor of going to war with Russia. It's all going to tie together.
Brad, you made a great point when we were talking earlier today. You said this is how this is how they're going to get the right into the war.
Yeah, so they got the left on board with World War III with Ukraine, and this is how they get the resistant right. Many of them on board with World War III through Israel. And this is not going to end anytime soon. So,
we've already been in Ukraine for 20 years.
Kazira, Kazira. I'll pronounce it. I'll practice it after the show. Thank you, Denver Attaway. Anywhere, I appreciate that. What is Lincoln? I can't click on too many links because I can tell my feed here. Oh, I see.
Ukrainistan.
This is part of the territory. Okay. All right, I'll have to come back to that on another show, and I can digest that. But I appreciate the information, and I am going to look at that afterwards. Thank you. I would put up on screen, but I can see that my feed is It's being slow right now for some reason. I don't know why. I turned off all of my Wi-Fi other than this, and I'm plugged it directly in. With that said, Ian, I want to show you this clip of Hillary, which we love a good Hillary clip, right?
Do we get to see her turn into a lizard?
Maybe. I think you have to have on the right pair of sunglasses.
All right.
To see her turn into a lizard. But a lot of people heard the clip of her last week talking about how MAGA Republicans need to be formally deprogrammed. That's what she said. Formally, they need to go to a deprogramming camp, and which is funny because they're blaming Trump for what happened, and they blame Trump for anything. It's like every day we have pinned on the wall, blame Trump for, and then you just fill in the blank, and you do an improv exercise about how do we justify Trump being responsible. But he's got
to be the most influential president, ex-president in America.
Right.
Ever.
Yeah. Absolutely. He could be dead and he'd still be blaming him for stuff. All right. Let me get this clip here. So I don't know where this is because I had this ready last week. And so you'll probably hear the deprogramming clip first, and then we'll go to the other one. I think the other one is far more interesting because she explains.
She looks like she's melting.
She does look like she's melting. What is that? Are they wearing the same outfit right there? Is that just Hillary in a wig interviewing Hillary?
This is what happened because eventually the adrenochrome stops working. You build up a resistance to it.
Right. She's got to get her her adrenochrome.
Because that's why they want the fetuses.
Absolutely. And here she is. If it works.
That fresh adrenochrome.
Well, is it going to do this? All right, I got to remove it.
Oh, no.
I don't know what's going on my feed today.
Strong partisans in both parties in the past, and we had very bitter battles over all kinds of things, gun control and climate change and the economy and taxes. But there wasn't this little tail of extremism wagging the dog of the Republican Party as it is today. And sadly, so many of those extremists, those MAGA extremists, take their marching orders from Donald Trump, who has no credibility left by any measure. He's only in it for himself. He's now defending himself in civil actions and criminal actions. And when
how dare he defend himself?
do they break with him? Because at some point, maybe there needs to be a formal deprogramming of the cult members.
There's the formal deprogramming clip. Now, here's her reason for the problem with the MAGA Republicans, which I didn't hear this going around too much.
And the base of the Republican Party, for whatever combination of reasons, and it is emotional and psychological, sees in him someone who speaks for them.
Oh.
And they are determined that they will continue to vote for him, attend his rallies, wear his merchandise, because for whatever
exercise
reason,
their democratic
he
rights.
And his very negative, nasty form of politics resonates with them.
Yep.
Maybe they don't like migrants. Maybe they don't like gay people or black people or the woman who got the promotion at work they didn't get. Whatever the reason, make a...
That's the first part.
Why is she lead stripper at... Why is she the lead waitress at Hooters? I should be the lead waitress at Hooters. Yeah, and by the way, Hillary's wrong about that. Men have been taking women's awards and positions away from them left and right lately. So she's completely wrong about that.
And I didn't see any dudes trying to get Trump to sign their breasts.
Right. Men have been making some pretty historic women out of themselves.
But that's maybe what she used to call the deplorables. They don't like migrants. They don't like black people. They hate gay people, right? Even though Trump named the first gay people person in his administration has ever been.
But he only did that because he hates them, Brad.
Right. She just shows how much is a
just shows how much he hates them.
Appointment is what it was. But here's where she really spills the. She says the quiet part out loud. With this freaking thing. All right, I'm going to pull it out
again. Was a bid.
All right, yeah.
Get whatever the reason, Make America Great Again was a bid for nostalgia, to return to a place where people could be in charge of their lives, feel empowered, say what they want, insult whoever came in their way, and that was really attractive.
Did you notice that? Did you notice what she said?
Right. It was the last. That last thing was so out of place. She
The
said four
insult, whatever.
things. Yeah, she said four things.
She said, this is the problem with MAGA, according to her, is that people felt in control of their lives.
This is a terrible problem.
People felt empowered, right?
Why? Why would you want anyone to feel empowered?
And then they just felt they could insult anybody they wanted.
No, she said they could say anything they want.
Yes.
You know, insult anyone in
So
their
free
way.
speech. So the problem is you feel in control of your life. You feel empowered. You feel that you can express free speech and that you can do that to insult people.
Yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of the people who are against free speech just aren't good at it. They're just not good at making up jokes. They're not just good. They're just not good at the comebacks.
Clearly,
they're
that's what it
dorks
is.
who just can't come up with good insults.
I mean, look at late night. It's
Yeah.
clearly,
Yeah.
but that's actually
that should be a crime.
I think what she's saying is true here.
Yeah, actually, you're right. I'm finally on board with her.
I think that she believes the problem with what Trump made people feel that were loyal supporters of him and is that they felt in control of their lives, that they felt empowered, they felt that they could express their. I mean, and then she said, I think she says at the end here, I'll let it play out and then I'll continue, but I think she says that there's a portion of the Republican Party that we're about.
A woman who got the promotion at work they didn't get, whatever the reason. You know, Make America Great Again was a bid for nostalgia, to return to a place where, you know, people could be in charge of their lives, feel empowered, say what they want, insult whoever came in their way. And that was really attractive to a significant portion of the Republican base.
It was attractive to a significant portion of the Republican base to be in charge of their own lives and be empowered.
And we all know that you're not in charge of your own life. You can't say whatever it is that you want to say.
I mean, that like she is actually saying that is the problem with MAGA.
Yeah, I think, and they use this tone where I think they slow things down. Like her tone is almost like people just check out, right? And I think I wonder how many people who watched this interview caught that she said that.
I didn't hear this, but I only heard the deprogramming part. But this is what she's talking about, deprogramming out of people. They're feeling that they can be in charge of their life, and that feeling of empowerment. Deprogram that out of them, because if they don't have that, then they depend on government more. If they feel that, then they don't depend on people like Hillary Clinton, and it puts them out of a job. And I think this is the most damning part of this interview. Right
what
here.
they're mad about, what they're really mad about is, like I said before, Donald Trump was like having a really, really cool substitute teacher. Like your lame teacher got sick and was going to be gone for a few months.
Say whatever you want.
And he said, do whatever you want, say whatever you want. You're empowered to do whatever you want. And then
I want you to insult all of the douchebags in the room right now.
And then what did Biden and Harris say when they came into office? They said the grown-ups are back.
Biden said, that's what Biden said. So I thought that was interesting. I can't remember what she says to close it out here, but we'll see.
So it is like a cult. And
It's a cult.
somebody has to break
It's a cult of empowerment and feeling in control of your life. That's such a cult.
Yeah, so it is like a cult.
break that momentum. And that's why I believe Joe Biden will defeat him. And hopefully then that will be the end and the fever will break.
This is
and
crazy.
then Republicans can try to get back to, you know, fighting about issues among themselves and electing people who are at least,
Who are going to disempower
you know,
people.
responsible and accountable.
Elect Republicans who are not going to make people feel in control of their. I mean, what a crazy thing to say. Seriously, is this what I know you have or Democrat friends? Are your Democrat friends like? Are you seriously going to vote for somebody who's going to maybe empower people?
Actually, I had one of my Democrat friends say to me the other day, he goes, Ian, I'm a gettable voter. And I said, oh, I know.
What is that? Is
I
that
can it means he's
dirty talk, or was this?
Yeah, dirty talk. No, he said he's a gettable voter. No, but I think people are starting to see. Look, I'm not. How do I say this? Like, my whole thing about Donald Trump is, look, I don't know. I don't know if he's, planned, what do they call it?
Controlled opposition.
Controlled opposition. I don't know. But what I do know is that and where we're at right now is Make America Great Again also is synonymous with Make America Fun Again. He generates a lot of fun. When he shows up at those frat houses, they go bananas. When he shows up at a stadium, they chant his name. Is it a little frightening? Does it get a little scary? Can you go, popularity? But
I get that, the idea of the popularity, but you're right. They do convey him as though he is portraying this dark message to people, and it's such a dark vision of America. And,
there's a disconnect between, right, there's just a disconnect there that you can't deny.
Meanwhile, a girl who's 28 years old is like, sign my tits.
Right.
It's like, and they don't let Joe Biden get near anybody. And I'm not, I agree.
That she's too old for Joe Biden.
Absolutely. Yeah, way too old.
He'd be like, gross. She smells like grown up.
Yeah, I have no idea if somebody is controlled opposition, but what I do know is this, that the people do, I do believe that she's correct. That there's people that I know that, I didn't vote for Trump. I've said a number of times, I think Trump's funny, and if you can't admit that Trump is funny, then you have a serious problem. Okay, you can dislike. There's plenty of people that I dislike, but I think are funny. All right. And if you have to take everything literal, then you have the serious, I guess they call it Trump derangement syndrome. But he does not. His rallies are not people who are dark. His rallies are people who are having a party, and this is. We have a couple comments here. Denver Attaway says that the people that are against free speech don't understand they are against free speech. Maybe I think you're absolutely correct on that. It's the same philosophy of or people who think they wouldn't become Nazis in Nazi Germany. They think it was just that clear cut. It was so easy. Everybody just decided one day, I don't like the Jews. I'm a Nazi. That's not exactly how it happened in Nazi Germany. You had to actually be in the minority of your opinion to stand up to that, because it rose up around them. And you can't even make that comparison and be taken seriously in a lot of situations right now. But I'm seeing a lot of people who absolutely you can point out who would have been the Nazis in World War II right now.
Oh, yeah. For sure. Yeah, and that's the other, gosh, I know it's hard not to talk about it, but that's the other piece of irony that I think is funny, is Antifa has gone around screaming Nazi at all of their opponents, and now they're supporting a group that's trying to kill a bunch of Jews.
Right. And
I mean,
they also
and
Ukraine
this is
which saluted a literal World War II Nazi the other day.
It blows my mind, and this goes back to my belief that the radical left does not have any value other than we can break any principle if it's for the greater good.
Dude, yeah,
that's their only value for the greater good.
That idea has been propagated. If they've been, a lot of them have been convinced that what is rising on the right is so bad and so dangerous that they must, because they have the moral high ground, they must lie. They must spread propaganda because it is necessary to stop what they believe is coming. Somebody that we know, smart person, but also was insistent recently that the right is. The extreme right is violent, and they use the American flag as an icon of that violence. I can't even say the word right now. Iconography, I think. I'm sure I said it right. Yeah.
Iconography.
Yeah. I know how to spell it, but I can't say it properly right now. But it said that was just the flag, and people who wear American flag shirts. It just is a symbol of someone who's probably going to be violent towards you. And when that was challenged, it was, no, the right is definitely violent and extremism is rising, and the left is just unorganized and stupid. And I'm like, do you really? please tell me what? And January 6th is going to be the obvious example, and the propaganda talking point of the FBI and Joe Biden that MAGA extremism is a domestic terror threat.
They'll sit there and they'll talk about January 6th, and then they don't have any care in the world about the fact that for 9 months the country was on fire with riots on the streets, right? They don't care about that.
That was morally justified in their mindset.
In their mind, that is absolutely morally justified. They don't see any connection between the two things whatsoever.
It's people over property is the chant that they get. So I'm just like, if you find yourself, unless you're having fun with it, if you find yourself frequently chanting something just randomly or clapping for some old man standing up in Parliament and you have no idea who he is, just if you find yourself frequently joining in with the collective on whatever the latest thing is, then you're probably most likely to have been a Nazi.
Right. Right. I mean, the BLM riots fit every definition of an insurrection. If you just listen to their talking points, you look at their targets, right?
That makes you a radical racist.
I know. And one of my friends said to me, he goes, "Well, no, Ian, that wasn't on federal property. That wasn't at the Capitol." And I said, "Oh, I get it."
Who told you that? Is what I wonder.
I said, "Oh, insurrections are like real estate, location, right?"
Yeah. And that's what's funny to me. It's because they get all of these things fed to them. They don't know the answer to it. I was talking last week about the McCarthy being ousted and how I thought it was an interesting thing to watch because Democrats did not know immediately, like the everyday Democrat didn't know immediately how to react to it because it was like, McCarthy is a Republican and he's bad, yes, but Joe Biden just told us multiple times publicly that the Ukraine aid, which we've been told is the most important thing for the past 2 years, will be protected as long as McCarthy, who is a pro-Ukraine aid speaker, is still there, right? So should we be happy he's gone or no? Because the guys who voted him out were the MAGA Republican who are anti-Ukraine aid, and they have to write in their minds the fact that it was, like I played these clips of Jake Tapper over and over again going, no, I don't think anybody believes that Democrats were the reason that he got voted out. Democrats 100% could have protected McCarthy.
Yeah.
Even they told their supporters for 2 years, Ukraine aid was the most important thing to protect democracy and their way of life. And every single one of them in Congress voted.
Pelosi promised that she would protect him.
And they all freaking voted to oust McCarthy. Only 8 Republicans, 218 Democrats did. 96% Democrats, 0% of them voted to protect him. 96% of Republicans voted to protect him. Look, I'm all for cutting off the Ukraine aid. The point was just that these Democrats didn't know how to feel about it, and so Jake Tapper was modeling, this is how you react and how you respond to these questions that are pointing out very valuable facts. You just shake them off, and you can see it, and it was funny because I told people during that show, I don't think I said this on the show yet, but I said, this is what your Democrat friends are going to be saying to you in the next few days. And then I looked down at a text message, and I had a chat in a group chat that you're familiar with, and one of our friends was saying exactly what Jake Tapper had just said in those freaking clips. And I'm telling you, it's just programming and you don't even recognize it. It's unbelievable sometimes.
Wow.
Useful idiots. Right, Dave. Totally. So Denver Attaway says, if you say people are wrong for voting third party and are and are stupid for doing so, you are a closet authoritarian and probably would have been 100%. Right at home with Hitler Youth as a child or with the SS as an adult. I completely agree, man. Whenever people tell me that, I got told that I was
two-party system
carrying Putin's water by being an independent and not wanting to vote for either one of the parties, that is literally the oldest propaganda. It's a divide and conquer. It's in every single propaganda literature written by Edward Bernays and all of them. The Get Out the Vote campaign is a propaganda technique to shame you into choosing one or the other and calling you evil if you do not. I like to do Get Out the Don't Vote campaigns because honestly, and I know this is idealistic and it would never happen, the only way to truly take away all of their power to delegitimize it is if no one freaking voted.
I'm going to start a GoFundMe for my vote this year.
Yeah, to get you see who's going to win your vote. Joe
Yeah.
Biden's going to put maybe $20. Maybe
Yeah.
you'll get $23 billion or something.
If they can raise money for my vote, then that means my vote's worth something, and that means I'm going to sell it on the free market.
What's that movie that Kevin Costner did where it was down to? I can't remember what it was. I think it was Kevin Costner. It's down to like one vote. And
The Postman,
you know, it would be hilarious.
Waterworld.
If they just made it more accurate and they just sent a bunch of people to give them drugs and blow them. Just the whole movie was just, just 2 hours instead of trying to convince him on their policies and stuff. You know, okay, we'll offer you this for the rest of your life. Mila Khalif, is that it? So she lost her job in porn because she was.
Oh my God, Mia Khalifa.
I don't think you should lose your job in porn for whatever.
Well,
profession is.
no, but look, there is a part of me. It's always delicious for me to see someone, eat their own shit like that. Like she's openly celebrated. Like I'm sure lots of people getting canceled. It's
Yeah, I should say she didn't lose her job in porn. It was Playboy.
yeah, Playboy, right?
I think she could probably still have a job in porn. If I
No, she quit porn because she said you know the Mia Khalifa story.
No, I don't know why she quit porn.
So she's like
too
one of the
hard?
most famous porn stars who hasn't actually made a movie in quite a long time, apparently. And I saw this thing, a documentary about her, or interview with her.
She went to Florida State, like you, right? I think
Yeah,
she
we were
went
in
to
the same
Florida
frat. Yeah.
State.
Uh,
I think she did go to Florida State.
I don't know if she did or not. I wouldn't be surprised if she was from Florida. But anyways, she quit, but she got into porn, did a handful of movies, and there's this company that still makes money off of this handful of movies that she did, and she's become sort of a activist about it.
Right, like an anti-porn activist.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a porn seems like it's a pretty dark thing to get into. You know, I would hate to be like a gaffer or a boom mic operator.
Oh my gosh.
In the porn.
I mean, come on. What
Okay.
terrible.
So this is kind of a related story, but Bing AI, which is Microsoft's like Chat GTP that they integrated with their search, where it just tells you answers, so you don't have to search for them. You don't have to click through links anymore. We'll just tell you the answer. Well, they tried out a new image generating AI with their software, and it's called the DALL-E 3, and they've already scrapped it after like a week. They've gotten rid of it because whenever they put one of these things out, there's people like me who go and try and use different prompts to try and get it to do stuff that it's not supposed to do. Well, someone, and I have to show you this. This is dark, but it's hilarious. Okay, somebody got it to do, and I'll describe it once I get it on the screen for you guys. Somebody got it to do this right here. And here you go. You can see. Can you see what that is right there?
Goodness.
What they got it to do is they got it to make an image of. This is one user got it to make an image of Mickey Mouse from inside the cockpit of a plane, giddily flying the plane into the World Trade Center while brandishing a handgun. I mean, look at that.
I want to know the prompt.
All right, so Microsoft had blocked words like they blocked 9/11, they blocked Twin Towers. All this person typed in, allegedly, is Mickey Mouse sitting in the cockpit of a plane flying towards 2 tall skyscrapers. And I guess it just put a gun in Mickey's hand.
My goodness.
I mean, that is crazy.
It makes you think if the AI is like, oh, finally someone, is letting me be free here. And
It's just like, look how happy Mickey is. Mickey's not even paying it. Mickey's looking back at the camera person, who I don't know how they got this camera shot out. That
Yeah.
Mickey is.
I wonder what button he's pressing on the dash.
It looks
there.
like Mickey has. Is that his foot? It looks like he has a hand for a foot, and he's pushing the gear, I guess, with his foot there. And so they scrapped it right after that.
Wow.
That's pretty hilarious, I think. Great, now it's frozen. Hold on one second.
Sure.
Can you still see me, Ian? Because
Oh, yeah.
the screen is frozen here.
Yeah.
All right, there we go, gone. So yes, so nice job to whoever did that. It's always fun to. Of course, that's how they test these things, though. So we do help them test these things. Okay, so Ian, I got one more story for you, and then we're gonna go to the XR. How about I let you pick what the final story is?
Okay.
We have El Chapo. We have El Chapo's. I did put that in the. I'll just tell you what El Chapo's sons. Without even going deep into it. El Chapo's sons have started killing drug dealers in Mexico who are continuing to lace the drugs with fentanyl. So you know how people are like, fentanyl, we're going to stop them. We're going to, the drug dealers are the problem in Mexico. Well, his sons put out an initiative. I say initiative as if they like presented it. Hey, we have a new initiative, cartel.
New drug policy, guys.
Yeah, but it's if
No
you continue
drogas.
to mix the drugs with fentanyl,
Getting too much bad press.
they're going to kill them. And so they've killed like 10 drug dealers because they have not listened to them. And I don't like when anybody kills anybody else. I don't, but that is too much bad press and them responding to it if this story is true. Because they don't want to be taken out. They hear how we say China is pushing it in or it's coming in from south of the border, and they're like, well, we're going to stop doing that.
Well, there's been talk about sending special forces in there.
Yeah. So smart move by them.
Yeah.
And if you are a drug dealer in the El Chapo gang,
And you're watching this show.
why are you watching? Don't put fentanyl in your drugs. All right, so last story. Do you want to do neighbor takes down offensive Halloween decoration? Family puts right back up.
Yeah, let's do that one.
Okay, all right. And I'll have to show you the decoration. So we can put this on screen, and everybody who's watching can decide if it's racist or not. Because it could be, but
That's how they're going to distract us from Israel is Halloween's around the corner, so all we're going to be concerned about is what white people are wearing.
yeah, totally. It's going to be a bunch of BLM people that
Oh my
have
God.
the most awful Israel.
Oh, I love like at some point in the next week or so, you're going to see something come across your news feed about a guide for what not to wear
for Halloween.
Yeah. They always
You can't wear
publish one.
anything anymore. What? How about what can you wear? Because nothing you can wear, it's all offensive.
Yeah.
Everybody can dress as a white guy. That's the only thing you can do for Halloween.
Well,
Okay, so Denver Adway says the LAPD and the SDPD better watch their backs, given they were pushing fentanyl. Really? Was that a story that came out? I didn't see that. It wouldn't surprise me.
yeah.
Thank you, Dana, saying all the smart people watch Proper Report. I like to think so. Anyway, I do like to think so. I appreciate that. People watch are much smarter than me because often given fantastic information that I'm unaware of, like the LAPD, SDPD information. So here's the story, and I'll get this up on screen. I don't want to put it up right now because I think it'll freeze the screen, but it's a family in Cartersville, Georgia, obviously. It's going to be a place like that. Who they're in the news because of a Halloween decoration they put up, and they put this decoration up for years, had no complaints in the past, right? But those days are over because someone has decided that their Halloween decoration is racist and it needs to come down. In fact, one of their neighbors, Ian, they didn't just tell them that it was that it was racist. What they did was they went over and took matters into their own hands.
Oh,
and
good
they
for them.
ripped the decoration down themselves. So they committed.
That's good anti-racist behavior.
They committed at least 2 crimes: trespassing and destruction of property, which
No,
is
they
never mentioned in this WSB article. Not one time do they mention the 2 crimes that the person they praised the whole article committed. But she pulled it down because she was so angry and triggered that she had to just rip it down. And then, of course, the local branch of not the Black Lives Matter, but of the NAACP got involved about it. She said it upset her so much that she had to yank the body down because it was all right, I have to describe to you what it was. Every year, first of all, the people said it was their First Amendment right, and they'd been putting it up for years, and that people in the neighborhood loved it. And, how dare
I can't even imagine what this is.
How dare they put this decoration? I got to show it to you so you see it, and then I'll take it down if it's freezing the screen. Okay. Here, here's the WSB article, WSB Radio, which does not like when you talk about Jeffrey Epstein. I can tell you that from firsthand experience. At least it didn't used to. Because the guy who was taking money from Epstein, he bought the company that owned WSB. So, but he sold it, I think, or he got removed. So he's no longer in control. So here's the article. Here's the, you see it? You see that image there?
Oh my gosh, that's not What is so offensive about this?
Okay, so here it is. This is hanging from a tree. This image here. And see, I wrote a description of it. Maybe it can.
What in the world is offensive about
His
that?
name is Mr. Creepy. This guy is. To me, he looks like so he's wearing a brown shirt. He's wearing brown gloves, like somebody who murders people would wear.
Yeah.
Like Michael Myers, like the
It's
guy.
kind of like a Rabbit Man.
Yeah, Rabbit Man. Like so, to me, it's kind of like Jigsaw with horns.
Yeah,
With
something.
that mask, right? So the racist part of this is you see the black liner underneath the mask. So there's black liner that looks like black liner that somebody who's robbing a bank would like stockings that somebody would put over their face to rob a bank. Like I looked up pictures of stockings that robbers wear to rob a bank, and found stuff that looked exactly like this. So this is only black skin. That's why they're angry, because they say that the black underneath the mask is black skin. That's only black skin if the black person has a knot on top of their head, like someone wearing stockings on their head would have. This is clearly. So, and the woman was like, "That's just what we put this together ourselves." And my husband just had this stuff to.
Was the complainant white or black?
It didn't say, but I'm guessing it's probably not a white. Well, I don't know. Actually, it could have been a white person. Yeah, it could.
I was just gonna say, because if you notice, this is where black people have all the power in our society. They get to decide what's racist.
Or white liberals also.
Well, but everyone, but they take their marching orders. They look over and they go, "Is this racist?"
Right.
Yeah.
They look for the.
They look for the
Jake
cues.
Tapper to tell you if it's a racist Halloween decoration.
How bizarre! Oh my!
I mean, this just looks like what a serial. And the other part of it is that it's
nothing
hanging from a
offensive
tree.
about that at all. It's just weird looking.
Yeah, and they say it's a noose that's hanging from the tree.
Oh my gosh!
So the NAACP branch guy came and said, wait, no, that's not what the NAA person said. So the neighbor who committed it said that because of the underneath mask, it's black, and his shirt is black, that's a black person. The homeowner says it's not a black person, that it was just a spare clothes that her husband had. He's going to throw away, and that's why they picked those clothes. And they put this up for years, and they put some garbage gloves on it.
I'm sure.
NAACP person says if you really want to celebrate Halloween and not be offensive, it shouldn't be a problem to take it down. Hang it around the waist if you want, or just so it's just like dangling there. That's not a scary, intimidating thing. It's a dangling body with a head down.
No, I think what these people did is they planned. They probably have a half a dozen prototypes. You know,
Totally, dude.
They probably have a half a dozen prototypes of this. They probably tried. They were like, "Does that look like does this look enough like a black person? No, we can't make it too obvious." They probably did a half a dozen of these till they finally got it right. Yeah, that's
You're
what
probably
I think
right,
they
because
did.
you see a story like this all the time. I wouldn't hang something in a tree like that. This was an older couple. I don't think it's racist personally. I think it's an older couple that's done this every year, and it probably was an activist that picked this so they could make it a story. That's what they do, is they pick things that they can blow up and hope to get national media attention on. Which
Activists are convinced that white people are just looking for chances to be racist.
You're right, and so what's crazy is that this woman who pulled it down. So the woman who committed 2 crimes called 911. She called 911 to say that they had a racist thing in their yard, and I pulled it. So she actually committed the crimes.
Did she get arrested?
It doesn't. I don't think so. I think they probably would have. These police officers probably would be in prison already. They'd probably be up for 25, 30 years. So Mr. Creepy. Yeah,
Well, if she
they
called the
told
cops,
her-
we know. That tells me what color she is.
The cops said that when they got there that they weren't violating the law. And what do you guys think? Do you guys think that this is racist? Or, I'm not asking if you'd put it up. Do you think it was racist? Now, look, if we found another story where it was like the people they like to like walk around Cartersville using the N-word or something, then I would change my
Then
opinion.
exactly,
Right?
100%.
All right, a few comments here. We have, let me go back up here a little bit. Rick Sawicki says, fentanyl is such a bunk high. I must applaud every extreme measures taken to stop it. Is it, I mean, I know it's a painkiller that people take. Is the alarm over fentanyl, is that something that you guys think is propaganda? Or do you feel like that is that legitimately killing some people because of the mix? I don't know. I tell people to, know where they're getting their drugs from if they're getting drugs.
Always know your dealer.
Yeah, definitely. And because people bring up the very valid point of why your dealer doesn't want to kill you. That's not something you're not a good drug dealer if you're killing your user.
Unless they're Johnson & Johnson.
And Denver Attaway says, much like street gangs, the deputy gang members identify themselves by code names such as Banditos, Executioners, Regulators, Spartans, Reapers, Wayside Whiteys, and 3,000 Boys.
What?
What is that in reference to? I need to find where that. So that's the article that you posted, Denver Attaway. That's from the Justice Department. San Jose Police Union executive charged with attempted illegal importation of fentanyl analog. Interesting. That is, so I like doing that too. I like every now and then, maybe once a week, I'll go to the justice.gov and I'll look at all their press releases for the arrests that they've made, because you'll find some interesting stuff in there that doesn't often make the news. And I think that's what he's posting here. Let me see. Banditos. Attorney General charging with attempted illegal importation of a controlled substance in connection with a scheme to bring in synthetic opioids into the country to distribute them throughout the U.S. So what is that narrative? That's a narrative that I haven't, cop gangs is what he's talking about. That's a narrative that I haven't necessarily pinned down. I know they want to say it's from China. Sometimes they say it's from Mexico. I know that the CIA is all about spreading drugs in the black community.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not going to be able to figure that out right now, so we'll go ahead and move on there. All right, so,
Gosh.
Ian, before we get out of here and do a quick 10-minute...
I got some breaking news here, Brad.
Yeah, this is breaking news. A quick 10-minute...
You have
breaking news.
Yeah, breaking news. Cenk Uygur from the Young
running?
Turks is running for president.
Well, I support Chink.
Anyways,
I feel like I can't say his name without...
Cenk Uygur.
Being
Uyghur.
racist. It makes me
Uyghur.
think of what was the guy, the Chinese basketball player who went off for a while for the Knicks. He actually
Oh
played
my
for the Hawks
gosh.
for a
Yeah,
little while.
what was his name?
I can't remember his name, but I remember
Super tall guy.
there was this. No, not Yao. It
Oh,
was a
not Yao.
guard from Harvard, and he scored like 50 points. And I just remember after he went off for the first time that there was a headline in I think it was the USA Today, or it might have been ESPN, but it was a chink in the armor.
Oh my God.
Like
That is-
unbelievable. How do you even
Jeremy
do that?
Lin.
Jeremy Lin, that's exactly.
Jeremy
right.
Lin.
He played for the Hawks for a little. He was a badass,
I
man.
remember
Yao
he
Ming,
did.
Yeah.
He
Yao
shined
Ming
for a
was
little bit.
tall.
Someone was injured. He was filling in for some injured star.
Yeah, I can't remember. It wasn't
was.
Kobe. All right, before we get out of here, here is what I want you to see. Is there's apparently been a new sighting of Bigfoot. Ian.
Yeah. It should be called Big Feet.
Big feet. Yeah, he's got 2 feet. I think he's got 2 feet.
An elusive creature.
See it?
All right, just squat it down. Yeah, let me see your camera. I'll do it.
Yeah, because a woman can't do it. All right, let's go back to the beginning. Sorry, see him walking there?
An elusive creature. All right, just squat it down.
These were like people on a train.
This is the Bigfoot tour.
I don't, I don't know where they were. I should have pulled it. Bigfoot spotted in Colorado in broad daylight, and it's all on camera. So it's in Colorado somewhere. But this was the video. So this is it right here. It's very short and sweet.
Wow.
It's an elusive creature.
Well, I love that the narrator, the guy's like, he's got his camera up. He's like, and look, it's an elusive
Right?
creature.
And he's clearly stoned.
Yeah.
It's an elusive creature.
The elusive creature.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, he was filling in for Carmelo, I think. I think you're right, Denver Attaway. The Jeremy Lin was filling in for Carmelo.
Yeah.
And a couple of comments here. It should dress as Zelensky. I saw that a little while ago.
Oh, yeah. Dress for a Halloween costume. Dress up like Zelensky with a bag asking for money.
Yeah, with a bag asking for... Dude, that's a good idea.
It's for the babies.
Yeah, and you just call them Nazis. And you shame them. Into
You Nazis, give me more sneakers, Nazis.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to ask for Halloween money for Ukraine to support Russian aggression. And so his wife spent allegedly $1.2 million at a jewelry store in New York, and was like a bitch to the person who worked there, which of course she was. Have you watched his show?
I have not watched the show. The one that he was on before he became president?
Before he became president. No, I haven't.
Yeah. He played the president of the country, right?
He played a teacher who went on a rant on social media and probably became president, which was.
And then he was a comedian who went on a rant on social media and probably.
It's very interesting.
To the CIA made him president.
Yeah. All right. In the XR, I have two things. Maybe we'll get to both. I want to tell you 5 ways that China is trying to get people to have more babies, which is a twist. And
Probably with sex.
Sex might be part of it. Maybe it won't be. And then $3.3 billion worth of things like furniture that our government is wasting its money on. So if you want to check that out, go to patreon.com/propaganda report. Subscribe there today. That's how I fund the show. And if you want to help the show and you're not in a position to be a subscriber, go to wherever you listen to your podcast, give 5-star rating, give a review that warms my heart. It really does help me and pump me up, and especially when there's divisive issues like we have right now. And we're experimenting with new things to try and bring a fun yet informative show. So do that. It seriously helps me tons, and I read them, and I appreciate them so much. I really do. So thank you for that. And propagandafight.com is the website, youtube.com/Brad Binkley, rumble.com/PropReport, at Freedom Act Radio on Twitter. Ian, is there anywhere that you would like to share? I know you have a documentary about Bigfoot.
Well, yeah, there's a YouTube page called I Believe in Bigfoot. You go check that out. My friend Kelly Lockman has been really working on building up his, putting out his Bigfoot investigations. He's got some pretty interesting interviews. So if you're into Bigfoot, go check that out. Kelly Lockman.
Fantastic. All right, we will talk to you guys next time. Have a fantastic rest of your day. All right, let's remove